Just to be sure, there's a spoiler. Rick Sanchez has remained one of Rick and Morty's best characters since the show began, but Season 8's premiere exposed a harsh reality about his journey. Alongside Morty, Rick Sanchez has been the animated show's most prominent character, and the joint protagonist has contributed to many of its best moments. Not only has he been a major part of Rick and Morty's best episodes, but the story simply wouldn't work without him, as Rick is the catalyst for most adventures, further highlighting just how crucial he is in making the series one of Adult Swim's most popular projects. However, one thing that makes Rick so entertaining is his flaws. Out of all the central characters, he is the most morally gray, and his self-centered nature causes endless problems. Still, he has several redeemable qualities that help the audience remain invested in the character, which is essential to making him feel relatable. Even as Rick and Morty has changed over the seasons, Rick has remained true to himself despite undergoing plenty of development, but his stubborn nature also highlights one of the harshest realities about the protagonist, and Summer of All Fears exposes this major flaw once again. Welcome to Movie Spy. Summer of All Fears proves Rick will never overcome his worst traits. Rick's over-the-top punishment highlights that his biggest flaws still exist after 8 seasons. Although Rick does have several endearing qualities, Summer of All Fears just confirmed that he will never get over his worst traits. Despite the countless crazy adventures he has been on with his family and all the near-death experiences he has overcome, Rick remains extremely petty, and his punishment in Season 8's premiere proves that. Rather than giving his grandchildren a telling off or having a more meaningful conversation about how frustrating it is that they frequently steal his phone charger, Rick took things to the extreme by making Morty and Summer go through an extensive simulation. He forced Morty and Summer into a virtual world all about why phone charger theft is wrong just to teach them a lesson. Had the teenagers spent a day or two in the simulated reality, it might have been a tough but justifiable punishment. However, Rick accidentally left them there for the equivalent of 17 years, completely messing with their psyche. While Summer went on to become a tech CEO inside the Matrix, it made reintegrating into society as a high school student extremely difficult. Likewise, Rick and Morty's complicated relationship only got worse as Morty developed PTSD from fighting in wars and dying over and over inside the simulation. Doing so much damage to his grandchildren's lives because they caused him a minor inconvenience is proof that Rick still has some truly terrible traits that he hasn't gotten over after 8 seasons. As a result, it doesn't look like he will ever lose these flaws, emphasizing how complicated and divisive Rick Sanchez really is. Rick still loves Morty and Summer despite his extreme lessons. He has risked his life for his grandchildren on numerous occasions. While Rick has undoubtedly been cruel and often negligent towards his grandchildren, no one can deny that he loves Morty and Summer. His harsh lessons may be somewhat cynical, but he has also risked his life on numerous occasions for his family and frequently puts himself on the line for them. Although his mean-spirited pranks and ruthless comments may be what fans remember the most, Rick has also done some incredibly kind things for the Smith family, particularly Morty and Summer, proving he does indeed hold his grandchildren close to his heart, even when it doesn't always seem that way. Rick teared up while watching footage of Morty growing up, and even sacrificed himself for his grandson in A Wrinkle in Time, despite eventually surviving. Although Rick and Morty Season 8's opening episode highlighted some of his biggest flaws, Rick did intend to reset Summer and Morty's minds so they wouldn't have to live with the trauma, which he eventually achieved by the end of the episode. He may go too far sometimes, but Rick is usually able to recognize this and always tries to make amends, confirming that he truly does care for his grandchildren in Rick and Morty. Thanks for watching.